Some folks dream of the wonders they'll do before their time on this planet is through. Some just don't have anything planned. They hide their hopes and their heads in the sand. I don't say who is wrong, who is right, but if by chance you are here for the night, then all I need is an hour or two to tell the tale of a dreamer like you.
Hello everyone and welcome to our latest episode of MTP Reunited. My name is Joe Risha and I'm on the board with Musical Theater Productions, and I'm happy to be your co-host for tonight's reunion. Tonight we are gathering together members of the cast and crew of MTP's production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. This is our first reunion for a show that has yet to actually perform. Joseph was intended to open in March 2020, and just 2 weeks before our opening night, we were forced to postpone the production as a result of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. But we still have high hopes for bringing this show to audiences one day here in London, and can't wait to get back into the McManus stage, I guess now the Auburn stage at the Grand Theatre, to present this colorful show to all of you. So before we get started, let's go around and let everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Andrew, and I go by he, him, and I am the producer for Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat that MTP is putting together. And I continue to be the producer all the way through, so I'm not getting up on this show.
Hi everyone, from Joseph. I am busy working on MTP's next virtual show, A Killer Party. There's my shameless plug for that. But I hope everybody's doing really well and hanging on, and everyone's been happy and healthy this past year. Miss you guys and wish you well. Any dream will do, as they say.
Evening, Joseph folks. I hope you've all been staying safe and keeping well amid everything that's been going on the past year and a bit.
Hey, I'm Hannah. I'm the choreographer for MTP's production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which will be on stage at some point, I'm sure of it.
Hey everybody. All right, hello, my name is Nicola Klein. I use she, her pronouns, and I play one of the narrators.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matt Butler. I go by he, him pronouns, and I am cast. I say present tense because we're not done here. I am cast as the Pharaoh, good old Elvis-y Pharaoh.
Hello, my name is Leyla. My pronouns are they and them, and I'm racking my brain because I literally forget my character's name. Benjamin. Benjamin. I play Benjamin, little baby brother Benjamin.
Hi, my name is Lucas. I go by he, him pronouns, and I was one of the brothers, though I'm not sure if it was Asher or Dan, but I think it was Asher, and the butler as well.
Hi, my name is Eric. I go by he, him pronouns, and I play one of the brothers. The name is Judah.
Hello, my name is Julia. My pronouns are she, her, and I was a dancer in the show, which was like ensemble, dancer, camel. We just had a fun time. It was a party.
Hello, my name is Amy. I use she, her pronouns. I played the role of dancer / ensemble, alto extraordinaire, and camel tamer in Joseph.
Hi, I'm Marina. I use she, her pronouns, and I am in the kids chorus for Joseph.
Hi, my name is Leah Westlake. I go by she, her pronouns, and I played as one of the chorus kids.
Hi, my name's Abi. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm in the children's choir.
Hi, I'm Isabella. My pronouns are she, they, and I was part of the children's chorus.
Hi, my name's Neela Noble. I go by she, her pronouns, and I played one of the kids that got kidnapped from the audience.
Awesome. Now, before I turn things over to my co-host, I have a question for our director, Andrew. What was your vision for bringing this classic musical Joseph to life with MTP?
It's always a tricky balance when you're pitching a really popular show like this, because on one hand, you know, it's already known, it's already beloved, and you don't really want to tamper with that or reinvent the wheel, as they say. But on the other hand, you always do want to give somebody something new. And certainly from a creative standpoint, you don't want to just emulate or copy somebody else's creative decisions. So it's like walking that fine line between, you know, keeping what works and keeping what is known and loved and still making it fresh and new in some way. And I think what we all, you know, on the creative team got really jazzed about was this angle of inclusion, right? It's like finding what's there, what's already there in the story that hasn't been fully teased out yet, that we can pull out, or that we haven't seen in a previous production fully explored. And so, I think we really focused on this idea that, you know, at his core, Joseph is a bit of an outsider. He's, a talented, unique individual, absolutely nothing wrong with him, but because he's just a little bit different than the way everybody else acts, he's persecuted and he's judged and is, the subject of a crime. And we really liked the angle that, well, what if it is his uniqueness? What if it is his self-assuredness, his confidence in who he is? That's exactly what others find threatening about him, his brothers find threatening about Joseph. That, you know, they're trying so hard to be what is expected of them. They're trying so hard to be just like everybody else, and yet they're not as confident in who they are as this person is who's confident in who they are, even though they're so different. And I think that's something reflected in real life a lot, with pressures to conform and to be and act a certain way. And for a lot of people out there, it can be threatening when somebody defies that mold and is just happy with who they are, no matter who they are. So we really wanted to focus on that aspect of it, this inclusive piece, this acceptance piece, both of others and of oneself. And we really kind of ran with that. The coat was just a perfect metaphor for that, just waiting to be used thematically. That here's this one garment, this one coat, and it has all the colors in it. Any color you could possibly name has a place somewhere on that coat, and they're all fitting in there, and they're all harmoniously creating the one garment. You know, it was a perfect metaphor for our society, for the earth, one big global community with all sorts of different, unique, special people in there. And it is Joseph's uniqueness that makes him special, and ultimately does get him recognized, and he's able to help a lot of people because of his unique gifts. And so it was a celebration of diversity, really, and of everybody having something to offer.
Thanks, Andrew. Now let's turn things over to the other Andrew, our producer, who's co-hosting this evening.
Thinking way back to when you first saw the call for Joseph come out, that we were going to have auditions, what did you think, and what inspired you to come out for auditions?
Well, I was never really familiar with the story of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I've only heard it a bit, but I knew it was an MTP show, and I knew that everyone was just so amazing, and it seemed like from the parts that were available, it seemed like it was just going to be so fun and going to be so magical. So even though I didn't know much about it, I wanted to be a part of it.
I never knew Joseph, and I wasn't really that like Catholic or stuff like, I don't know which religion that is, Christian. There we go. And so I didn't really know like the story of Joseph in general. But when I saw that there was auditions and they like wanted children for this like thing, I thought, I should really do this, because I mostly did like community theater with like, but like with the children's community theater, I did light. That's what I did. And then so I thought this would be really fun to do.
So, like Neela, I'd never really heard of Joseph, and Joseph is my first MTP show. But I had been with Mary Poppins, and that was a really exciting, really fun musical. And I didn't know how I would like musicals. I ended up really, really loving them. And when my mom had told me about there was an audition for Joseph, I could not wait to audition.
I was doing a show for Original Kids because I'm in Original Kids. And my friend was actually like, oh, there's this show. Do you want to audition with me? And sadly, she couldn't audition. But I was just like, I'm going to do it anyway. And so that's how that happened.
So growing up, Joseph was like the first musical I ever was really like known for. Sorry, I'm struggling here. My dad introduced that to me as well as my parents because they wanted me to be musical growing up because my mom did theater when she was younger. So I was really inspired by that. So that inspired me to join Original Kids. And then I heard about Joseph from my mom because she was like, oh my goodness, this is being performed. You should really audition. So I was like really inspired and I really wanted to audition.
If you were a fly on the wall when I was 9 years old, I had a little boombox with the cassette tape for Joseph that my mom bought in Toronto. And I had a house coat and my bed was the stage. That was my all-time favorite musical and has been from the beginning. Since I started getting into musicals, it was the show that got me into shows. So when I saw that MTP was putting on the show, I was like, "Oh my God, this is a dream come true." This is absolutely amazing. I have to audition for this show. So I auditioned, and well, the rest is history.
Well, I had absolutely no idea what Joseph was about. I'd never heard it. I'd never seen anything. It came up. A friend of mine. Two friends actually that I had been in shows previously, high school projects with, Marcy and Duke, who's in the show. They both were like, hey, there's this show going on. If you want to, audition for it, go ahead. And I was like, okay, sure. And it was my first community theater experience. So I was very interested in having that exposure because I'd only ever done stuff with like strictly high school students. So hearing and kind of understanding that there would be kids much, much younger than me and adults older than me, all in the same space. I was like, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
Kind of a similar story to both Leyla and Leah. It was my first MTP production audition situation there. But I've been involved in some community theater in St. Thomas, where I live, with the Elgin Theater Guild. But I heard through some friends, and my mom had brought it up that, there's like a community theater group in London that's doing a production of Joseph. You should just go audition and see what it's like. And I was like, I don't really know what this is going to look like. I don't know what it's going to turn into. But I was like, sure, audition experience is experience. And if I happen to get into the show, I love the music and any excuse to be involved with theater people. So I was really excited.
This was my first production with MTP, but far from my first production of MTP that I have seen. Some of you guys know Ben, my partner. He has been a part of MTP for a long time. And we both did productions together in high school, and I had been a theater kid my whole life and a dancer, competitive dancer. And after university, when Ben and I got together, I was telling him how much I missed it, how much I missed theater, because I took a bit of a hiatus during school. And I'm like, I just want my passion back. And he's like, well, lucky for you, there's a production of Joseph that will be coming up. So I auditioned, and best decision ever. It was so amazing to get back into things, and I was very, very blessed to be a part of this show.
Joseph has actually been like a very special show in my life. I think it was probably the first show that I ever saw. And my aunt was a principal here in London. So every single school that did Joseph, I went to a whole bunch of them. So I was very excited, but also very pressured because that same aunt said, if you don't get in, we might not speak to you at family gatherings. And that's okay. I understood that.
Well, I just kind of got into a habit of participating in MTP shows. Like, it was just part of one of those things where, like, it's just something I did every year. Was like, MTP has been my mainstay for a while now. And I'm dreading the day when, for whatever reason, I am not cast in a show. That'll tear me to pieces. But fortunately, I've been able to keep involved in some aspect and in a lot of the shows. Yeah, and just like Pharaoh feels pretty well in my wheelhouse of just wacky characters, like I want to say scene stealer characters without sounding like super arrogant, like, oh, I'm such a scene stealer, but those characters where just for a moment they are the center focus of the show, and then they just leave, and then the show can go back to the real star of the show.
This is not my first production with MTP. The first one that I did was Sweeney Todd, which was a co-production with All's Well. And Joseph was I'm pretty sure the first musical that I ever saw. As a kid, I remember distinctly being in like either the first grade or in kindergarten and being in music class and seeing that cart with the VHS player and the big tube TV roll into my room and knowing that we're going to watch something and being like, oh, what is this? And then watching the movie version of Joseph with Donny Osmond. And yeah, it was the first one that I can remember knowing, and I knew the colors since childhood. And so hearing that MTP was going to be doing this show, I was like, of course I'm going to audition for it. It's got such fun music. It's got a great message. And but I distinctly remember when I got cast, messaging Kate right away, being like, Kate, are you the other narrator? And like, she was like, yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is so great. So I was really excited about that. Because like a lot of people confuse Kate and I for the same person. So exactly. So it was really exciting because like we're obviously in the same role, but we're two very different people. And it's the opportunity to show people our strengths and the different characters between the two of us. It was just really fun to do that.
But all that I say can be told another way, in the story of a boy whose dream came true.
And I know, just a little behind the scenes, I know that Dodd always had the possibility as a director's choice of having two narrators, and in concert with some of the music direction choices, that it may work better to have two similar but different styles of voices to be able to carry the narrative of the narration a little differently. But it wasn't a guarantee that we would necessarily have two narrators. That wasn't a go-on decision. And I'm just so thrilled with the way that the two of you, Nicola and Kate, were really able to play off of each other's characters and add even more than I think I've seen from any other production of Joseph. And then you came in for the very first rehearsal. And what did you think the first time you heard everyone sing together?
Well, it was great because I knew a good amount of people there. So it was kind of like, especially with MTP, you're walking into a room full of family. And if you don't know them, they're going to be family soon. But the first couple of rehearsals were amazing because, great musical directors, but also the music for Joseph is it's very passionate.
Walking into rehearsal the very first day, I was nervous. This was the first show that I had been a part of in the London community ever, and I've heard that it can be a pretty competitive community. Right? I mean, look at all the talent we've got here. So walking into a group full of extremely talented people, I'm like, I hope the rest of them like me too. But then it was, that feeling quickly went away when I realized how just welcoming and wonderful each and every person of this cast and crew was.
To be honest, I felt really, really nervous. I looked around and I didn't know what to expect from this. And so that was like terrifying. And then we sang for the first time together, and chills. I was so excited because I had heard everybody's voice sing together, and I knew this was going to be the perfect show.
It was amazing. It was like angelic almost, because everyone's voices together and like harmony. It was so beautiful, and it was really moving.
Since this was kind of like my first MTP thing, and like literally no one I knew were there except for like Isabella, who I heard about through someone else. And I was kind of nervous because I'm one of those people that I will talk for literally ages, but I can't start a conversation if my life depended on it. So I was pretty nervous, but then everyone was just so nice, so it was very easy to like start the conversation and get the ball rolling. And when I heard everyone start to sing and we did that like first run through with like harmonies and everything, gosh, I love harmonies and just hearing people harmonize and just hearing it all. I was, wow, did that come out of my mouth? Did that come out of other people's mouths? Whoa!
Well, when I like first went in, I was super nervous because I'm a very loud and big person, but I get very shut off when I'm not comfortable. And then I just started talking to Leah, and I was fine. And when I heard everyone sing for the first time, it was like really beautiful and just kind of amazing.
It was definitely very intimidating on the first day of rehearsal because the cast had such a wide age range, and I was kind of in this like weird spot in the middle. And my past experience with community theater, it had been big age range, kind of like Joseph, but I'd been in the kids chorus. And this time with Joseph, I was the youngest in like the adult cast. So it was kind of, I was a little bit hesitant as to kind of where I was going to fit into the groove, but it ended up working super well because when the kids were like scheming, I got to go hang out with them. And like I was still cool enough to be part of their club. And when we went laser tagging as a cast, like I got to be part of their like secret club. But then also like I could still have conversations with the adult cast, and I didn't feel like excluded at all. And it just became super chill and super friendly.
Walking in on the first rehearsal, I had seen a lot of familiar faces, people that I have watched on stage for years. And this time it was me that was in the show, and these could be my new friends, and they turned out to be a family. Community theater is such a family, and I was really excited to get to be a part of that, like personally, like myself, you know what I mean? So very, very exciting to meet the new people.
When I walked into the room, seeing all the different, very new faces, I was intimidated. I was extremely excited to work with everyone because I had seen Sweeney Todd and I'd recognized some faces, so I was like, oh my gosh, I'm intimidated with all the talent that's in this room. But getting to know them all and seeing, you know, I don't have to act any differently around you know, these adults. They're, you know, they have that, you know, goofy theater side that, you know, theater people have, and it was just so lovely to get to know them and laugh along with them. And hearing everyone together, because, you know, I've never sung with people whose voices could go that low. I was just like, the power that all of the voices had together just moved me, and it made me realize that this is something I never want to stop doing, no matter who I do it with. I want to carry this with me throughout my entire life. Green and crimson and silver and gold and azure and lemon and
have these like milestones in a show that I love and that give me great joy. The first one is the first rehearsal where you hear everyone sing together. It's just, it's almost cathartic in a way where you're like, oh, I know my part, but like, you know, just hearing everyone together is really special. The other one would be like the Zitz probe, or like when you finally hear the band together with everyone. And then of course your first show on stage. But yeah, so the first time coming in, hearing everyone was just one of those moments that I was looking forward to, and it didn't disappoint.
I have a question for Hannah, our choreographer. What was it like to see your choreography come to life in the rehearsal hall?
I would say seeing it in real life on the cast members was probably one of the coolest things. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to be behind the scenes for a show, you'll understand what it's like to sort of take what's in your head and teach it to someone or a whole cast of people and see it come together. And this cast in particular just brought my vision to life so magically. I honestly think it looked better even in person than it did in my head. There are definitely some times when I'm choreographing and I have no idea if it's really going to work out in person or if, you know, these two people are going to come close together. But once you're in the room with the cast, you sort of just work with what you have. You make adjustments on the go. You figure out formation changes and lines and make sure that, you know, the characters that you want to be close together are in the right places, and then you just go with the flow. So I'm someone who is very planned. I like to come with a very set plan of choreography, but I'm also very adaptable. So I know that, you know, going into a rehearsal, that there's a good chance that I'm gonna have to change some things up on the fly. But it is good for me personally to have pretty set steps and sort of formations laid out ahead of time so that I know generally where I want people to be going. Now, Joseph is basically one long song. That's what it felt like. So there was a lot of collaboration between myself and the director, Andrew Dodd, to make sure that my movement and his staging were coming together to really tell the story. So it definitely there was a lot of collaboration between the two of us to make sure that we knew where characters were going for the next scene, or where people were coming on stage or props were going off stage, and making sure that everything was in the right place.
For me, what was surprising is how much dancing that we did. At the time, I didn't have much dance experience. I didn't like doing dance much because it wasn't one of my skills, and I personally didn't do it as a hobby, so I was really nervous. But like we have an amazing choreographer.
Dancing was hard because I've only really trained in ballet and tap, so it was not the usual dancing I do.
Doing all the dance numbers, that was my favorite bit.
In terms of how I come up with choreography or what I'm inspired by, I honestly like to, even though I do plan in advance, I don't necessarily think about choreography like way, way, way in the future. I do like to meet the cast members that I'm going to be working with and really get to know them and how they move before I really start choreographing. So I do find a lot of inspiration once I meet the cast and really make sure that the choreography that I'm creating is going to work for that person or those people. I'm never set in sort of one way, but I'm very inspired by the people that I work with, which is a lot of fun too, because they can give me a lot of energy, I can give them energy, and we sort of work together.
The cast announcement, and it was a featured dancer, which kind of scared me because I kind of think of myself as more of a singy person than a dancey person. So when I go into an audition, I'm like, I'm a solid mover. I got rhythm and I can smile. So I'm like, it'll be okay, but I don't peg myself as like a dancer. And then when I was cast as a dancer, I was like, whoa, this is going to be a new and exciting experience. And then it was a little bit nerve-wracking, a little bit scary, but overall it was super fun because we had an amazing choreographer, and I got to work really closely with Amy, who's here, and then as well as our two other friends who are also dancers, so it's really great.
Well, with Pharaoh, there's definitely a lot more emphasis on the dance portion of it, because he is an Elvis guy. So that became, I guess, a focal point with getting that right, getting the physicality right. I was ready to like watch all the Elvis movies and just like figure out all the movements and stuff.
I think the music of Joseph really just is so much fun. There's so many different kinds of songs in the show. Lots of like up-tempo, slower tunes, different rock styles. So I definitely was inspired by the music a lot. And also our vision for the show, which was a message of hope, a message of inclusion, and really sort of getting across the idea that everybody belongs in some way or another. And so really taking that message and trying to make that clear throughout the whole thread of the show. And it was a success.
What would be your favorite song from Joseph, and would you sing maybe 5 seconds from it?
I think my favorite song was Close Every Door, because it was just really emotional and powerful. And I might get the lyrics wrong because it's been a while, but close every door to me, hide all the world from me. Children of Israel are never alone, but we know you shall find our own peace of mind, that we have been promised a land of our own.
Well, it's so hard to choose because they're all so perfect. Just kidding. I know exactly what one's my favorite. Jacob and Sons. I just love the energy of that song and like the opening, the bum, 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 bum. I love a good opening. Jacob and Sons. That's it.
My favorite was, and I think it was, I don't know the proper title. I think it's just Joseph's Coat. And it's because of all the colors. And I think I may have gotten it right like 50% of the time. But it's the red and yellow and green and brown and scarlet and black and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn and too many colors.
I have always loved Joseph, the Pharaoh's Dream Explained. I don't know what it is about it. It's just the energy. It's just such a subtle energy, and the anticipation of what's going to happen next. So 7 years of bumper crops are on their way. Years of plenty, endless wheat and tons of hay. Your farms will boom, there won't be room to store the surplus food you grow. After that, the future doesn't look so bright. Egypt's luck will change completely overnight, and famine's hand will stock the land with food at all-time low. That's it. That's all I got today.
Okay, this is a hard question to answer. When I first heard the music for Joseph, I really loved Potiphar because of the energy of that song. It's hilarious. Our Meg did a phenomenal job in that number. But upon hearing for the first time our entire cast standing behind George singing Close Every Door, when we all come in harmony kind of in the silhouette in the back, I get shivers and chills still thinking about it. So it is my all-time favorite song. Anytime I think of our production, that's the image that I think of. All just standing there together singing, and how much power was behind that song. So if my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world.
Before being in the production, my favorite song was the Benjamin Calypso, which we then did something super funky with. But in the show, my favorite song was Those Canaan Days, which is really funny because I think it's the only song in the whole show I didn't sing. But I really liked it because I did this cool like tango dance with my dance partner Brian, and him and I danced in a couple other songs too. Those Canaan days we used to know, where have they gone? Where did they go?
This is really tough of a choice, probably because like as a narrator, there's just so many songs that like I've been lucky enough to be able to be part of, so a lot of them have meanings. But I think I also agree with Matt in the sense, and like it's just such a like the Jacob and Sons, it's the big opening, it's my first number, I just like super fun. So I think that for me, Jacob and Sons is also my favorite song. And way back many centuries ago, not long after the Bible began, Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, a fine example of a family man. Jacob and Sons depended on farming to earn their keep. Jacob and Sons spent all of their days in the fields with sheep.
I know for myself, I know a lot of some of the older cast members had the opportunity, as I did, to see Joseph in various productions over the course of our lives. And I had the opportunity to see the Canadian production in Toronto with Donny Osmond. But more than Donny Osmond, the Canadian, I don't think she's actually Canadian, but the narrator of the Canadian production, the way that she sang Pharaoh's story really made that one particular song really connect with me. And just the way that Kate, who I know couldn't be here tonight, really carried the beautiful resonance of Pharaoh's story. It's such a simple but beautiful melody. And just the soaring vocals of that song. My go-to audition song for myself is always Any Dream Will Do. We are still very much dreaming with this show. And I was trying to pick one thematic point of that whole lyric of Any Dream Will Do is basically just on repeat at the very end, but so is true of our entire production. We are still dreaming to this very day. And I think our audiences are dreaming with us.
For me, it was a toss-up. I really loved the brothers' songs. So Canaan Days and One More Angel. It was fun playing with the scene and like the connections between the different brothers and toying with how comedic we could make it. And like, I mean, if you were really watching, there's some really funny interactions. So I'd have to say One More Angel because of the dance at the end. It was extremely fun to do. Father, we've something to tell you. Hey, story of our time. Hey, tragic but inspiring tale of manhood in its prime. It's not my range, but it's fine.
The big reason why Any Dream Will Do really resonates for me is the very end of the entire show when it just soars. And hearing the harmonies of our cast as everyone just stood so confidently at the very end of the show as Joseph is just handed the code at the very end, it comes back after it's been taken away. It's just such a powerful sound. And everyone hearing you all again and your amazing a cappella voices, it really resonates how powerful of a cast we really put together. So can't wait to put it back together. So what was one thing that you felt like you learned the most, or one thing that you felt was surprising about rehearsing for Joseph?
The rehearsals, I thought that they would be grueling. With a show as massive as this, as Joseph, I thought that it would be grueling. I did get back into shape. That's for sure. Though, because I can tell you those dance rehearsals, the rehearsal process after everything, they flew by, and I'm like, are we done? Like, are we actually done? Like, why is this stopping? Why can't we keep going?
What I learned from rehearsals was that it was going to be like a lot of work, but at the end of the day, especially because we recorded them, it was going to pay off. And when I watched the videos back, I couldn't help but smile because I watched everybody having so much fun, and it was just truly amazing.
Something that surprised me about like the rehearsals and everything was that, oh my god, I didn't realize how like beautiful all of the songs sounded together. It was just so much fun, and something that I like learned and I like took away from it was that I learned like how to like actually like sing like well with the choir, and how to like think about like what like make things interesting with like your little side parts, but don't like take away too much attention from like the main thing in like a scene. And I thought that was very valuable things to learn, like theater wise. And I also learned like I met so many good friends there, and it was I learned a lot of things.
Coming from the high school project, things were done like a very specific way, and because you're technically filed into kids when you're in the high school project, you listen to the director has a set vision, and there's very few times that I found we got to implement our own little nuances. With this, I found like I was able to kind of act out a little more and do kind of some silly things that ended up really, really working, and even, coming straight out and asking, hey, can I try this? Whether it be with singing or, an acting choice, and just kind of having that like real, like that trust that it wouldn't be too silly or, too anything for the show. That's something I kind of learned from that.
It was just a really collaborative experience, I felt. And Dodd, our director, came in and he was like, this is the idea, this is the concept, this is the vision. But throughout the whole show, we all kind of added pieces to that vision, whether we like straight up said, hey, I want to try this here, or if just over the course of the show, things were developed. And overall, like behind the scenes, we were a family as people, but also the show just kind of became pieces of all of us. And that was just a really unique experience that I really enjoyed.
I really found that as well as part of the creative team as a producer, just watching everyone's individual contributions, which I think Dodd as director really valued, is rather than kind of a top-down direction, it was really a collaborative like I will always remember the very first day when he told the pizza story about how every topping on the pizza is important, and I really think that he really led the way with individual contributions, forming the whole puzzle together. Really came out of this show.
I've worked with some professional companies. I've worked with Drayton, Huron County Playhouse, High School Project, those places, but this is community theater, and it was incredibly professional. I found that super impressive. Everyone took it very seriously. Not like obviously lots of fun, but there's clearly a lot of passion that went behind this project, and it really came together beautifully.
I just remember like as the show went on and just how we all like bonded, like even outside of like the scenes, we're all just sitting around. I goof around with the kids, show them my big old rubber band ball that I was making while I wasn't doing anything on in practice. Yeah.
Not much was surprising, but something that you learn with Joseph is with the show, all of those chorus characters stand out. And that's an important thing, is because it is a show of inclusivity, you have all of these characters, you want to see all of these characters. And that was something that I found very interesting and I had to learn to do, is how to stand out with your character in such a big group of characters. Yeah.
I know, just to add personally for myself, this is by far the largest show that I have ever produced. And getting to know each and every single one of the cast and crew individually, but also just how everyone's individual contributions, every single one of you had a major part of putting this whole thing together, and it just wouldn't be the same story without every cast member. Like, it's just such a beautiful story that really plays on that whole theme that Andrew Dodd really brought together of inclusivity, and really every single part of the cast is so vital, and all of you are so strong.
My favorite memories are all of the little nuances and all of the little secret jokes, either on stage, like Sab and the dancers, we had like a baby that we were holding, and everyone was, oh, the baby's so cute. And then she would eat it off the stage because we had to run across and change. And, you know, like the dancers were pretty much running the whole time. So all those little nuances in between the numbers and on stage was so much fun. I loved how Nicola and Kate would take a picture of all of us every time at the end of Jacob and Sons. Such a special memory and such a wonderful keepsake that we have those photos. Thank you guys for doing that.
Now, what were you looking forward the most about having the audience see the show once we got to the end of the rehearsal process?
I was looking the most forward to the audience hearing our story and see it being interpreted in a way that is a tiny bit different. I mostly get excited for the reactions of the audience to the parts, because that's something that you can remember really well.
The part I was most excited for, it was one specific part, which was when we got taken from the audience. I was really excited for that, especially to see, you know, oh, that they're part of the cast. Why were they sitting there, you know?
But another thing I was very excited for, that like we were kind of like the kids were kind of talking about it, because we could kind of wear like what we wanted, and we could kind of do our hair however we wanted. And I remember we were all talking about how like little things that as the kids that we would do different each time.
I think it was the last day of rehearsals before everything shut down, and Lucas and I were messing around, and when I go into a tango style dip, my back can go a really weird angle. So we were like, you know, why don't you dip me at the end of the rodeo dance? And, you know, we had it all perfectly set out. We were like, all right, we're going to do this next time we do the full scene. And we never got to put it in. So I'm keeping that with me until we can actually do it on stage. Finally being able to show my mom. But there was just so many cool things and just hilarious things that we had kind of hidden in the show that I was like, you gotta watch for this, and you know what, when this scene comes, you gotta do that. So I was just bubbling with excitement at the idea of her finally being able to see all of the hard work that we've put in.
I agree with Leyla. I would literally go home every day and like literally try to show my mom the dances that I did without showing her the videos, but I'd be like in the car trying to like play it out for her, and she wouldn't understand any of it because she can't have like the music coming along, so she'd be like, I don't know what my daughter's doing. But I mean, like, it was always so like I was always so excited and like real like excited to show her the dances and stuff, and yeah, just to show off my family what I was doing.
I think something that was really special about the Joseph cast is in the hall we had like enough energy to power a small country. And then I know when you do live theater, the energy you have gets amplified by 100% as soon as you have that audience feedback, and just the excitement of, oh, people are going to see what we've done. I can't wait for them to see it. And just that first applause and, you know, the first gasp and the first time they have chills, and getting to experience that and getting to live the show as a new experience with that added level of energy, I was really excited for, because we already had so much energy and we weren't waiting for the audience's reaction to give it 100%. We already had 110% on the table. So it's going to be something really special when we can do it in front of an audience.
Yeah, so having an audience, there's something about musicals and art in general that's so collaborative, not only within the artists themselves, but also with the audience, the artist and the audience. It's a collaborative kind of thing to have that response from the audience. It's a give and take, I really feel, as an actor, and just being able to express yourself, show your passion for your art, passion for the thing that you're telling, like the story that you're telling and the message that you're telling, and having it be received by somebody and then given back to you is something so special that live theater really gives ample opportunity for.
The thing that I was most excited to going forward with the production was getting that reaction from the audience, and because we had this show down pat. We were ready. We were so ready for an audience, and I'm seeing a lot of nods and, you know, a couple fist bumps going on there. Yeah, we were ready for an audience, and I was so excited to see I was so excited to get that feedback from the audience. A lot of people don't know that one of our shows actually had an ASL interpreter. And that was another performance I was really excited for. We had to actually rehearse once with the ASL interpreter, and I was just I was in a trance, I'll be honest with you. And it was great watching Lucas in the wings, because Lucas also knows ASL. So he's sitting there and he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then he turned, oh wait, that's not the exact word. And oh, I can see why they would make that. And it was really interesting seeing that process. But I was just so ready for that audience energy, and just to be able to share the experience of all of our hard work pay off and just to entertain.
The audience definitely feeds a performance. It feeds the performers. Opening night is magic. So I was really looking forward to that. I was really looking forward to the audience laughing, I'm not going to spoil it, all the way through Potiphar, because what they did with it was brilliant, and it will hold up for years to come. It's always going to be funny. So I was so excited for that, and I was really excited for the magic that is cast bonding during during the run of a show. It's incredible. There could be people that you didn't talk to the whole time, or like didn't really get to know the whole time, and in a week they're your best friend. Like through theater, I've made some of my closest friends, and it's just because that is such a special bond. So I was really looking forward to that as well, and I'm excited when it does get to happen. It's going to be even more special for our cast, I think.
The energy that we were sold out so early, this is, I think, the third production that I've been a part of as a producer. And it was just the opposite, where instead it was managing people's expectations and adding in more shows, and just the excitement kept growing and growing and growing. Instead of me having to drum up excitement for a show, I was instead just excited to release this and let the people who were so on the edge of their seats to see something so anticipated, and just to drink in the energy that would be coming from the moment that the audience walked out. And as a producer, of course, I get to be there when the audience walks out after the show, and just that is one of the greatest experiences, is just to watch the appreciation for everything that we've worked so hard to do. And I'll always remember the very last rehearsal that we had before the show was put on pause, the very last part of the full run through, just the ending notes of Any Dream Will Do at the very end. And There is a noticeable change in the quality of everyone being able to sing together, but just this ability to start at such a high point of talent is something I'll always remember about this show.
So there's a huge feeling of anticipation when we're getting close to getting in front of an audience. And Tech Week is my absolute favorite week when we're putting on a show. It's a time where the cast and the crew are really coming together. And it's not just a bunch of actors in a room singing and dancing to themselves. All of the pieces really start to come together, and it's really magical.
I think it might be the thing that sticks out to me only because it was the last memory that I have, like with everyone, was the costume parade. Just seeing everyone in their costumes, like getting hemmed and stuff. And yeah, that was just so like exciting, and just having that excitement, like underneath everything, being like, you know, we have all the costumes, which means the show's almost there.
So one of my favorite memories of Joseph is the costume parade, which happened to be our last rehearsal, our very last one before we had to stop. But I absolutely love that moment, that it's really a magical moment when all of the pieces start coming together and the cast gets to see what the crew has quietly been working on in the background.
That last rehearsal was just, it was beautiful and absolutely beautiful. It was, we were this close to having our costumes, and that was the last time we met, was we were all doing our costumes, and it was such a great time. And little did we know that the next day the entire fate of the show was going to be up in the air.
In less than 3 words, only 3 words, how did you feel when we had to postpone the show?
Understanding, yet heartbroken.
I was like shocked and sad. Those are like 2 words. And frustrated, I guess, because the whole pandemic was stressful.
I felt sad. I felt anxious, and I felt heartbroken.
I can really only think of like one, and that's kind of like disbelief.
1 word: heartache.
Shocked, very, very sad, but then a sense of togetherness with the influx of emails, reassuring messages from friends and family, reassuring messages from each other, checking in with each other.
Disappointment, acceptance, hope. I think those were my 3 ones. The month prior to everything, like prior to us, like everything shutting down, was a really tough month for me. I had a lot of things happen in my personal life, some deaths in the family. So it was a really like low point in my life. So having that kind of there was just like the icing on the cake. And I was just disappointed that like something that I was looking forward to kind of brighten up what had happened in my life wasn't going to happen.
So when I found out that the show was postponed, I was really upset because like musical theater is like everything to me. Like it takes out the real me, and like I get to like show that off in different ways. So I was really upset about that.
My word to describe how I felt when it was postponed was confused, because the concept of a pandemic was foreign to me. There has not been one in my lifetime, and I hope this is the only one that we experience in our lifetime, because I think this is more than enough experience of this for me personally.
When I had heard that it was going to close down for a bit, I was in shock. I can only think of 1 word, and that really shows you how much like I'm still processing that we had just finished the show. We were about to put it on stage and it all closed.
Part of the reason why 2020 was so difficult for me, like it was like the darkest time for me, mentally and emotionally. And I think a lot of that comes from not having theater.
It's too bad we had to stop everything 2 weeks before opening night, but I know that one day we will be able to see everything that we've done and more on stage, and whether it might be with the exact same cast or, you know, some differences here and there, I think the show will be fantastic.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. Disappointed for cast. That's not to say I wasn't disappointed myself or that for the creative team, but really felt bad for the cast, because certainly our role as a creative team, I can't speak for anybody else, but my role as the director, the bulk of it was done. I had been working on it, for a year. When that process started, with most of my work up here, and as the process went, it went down. So I had less and less to do. The cast, they're the exact opposite. They start down here with not a lot to do, and they ramp up right to the production. That's sort of the crescendo for them, and they never got there. So I really feel bad for all the time and the effort and the love and the hard work that was put in for the cast, ready to shine, ready to show friends, family, and just the public what they could do, and that just weren't able to cross that finish line.
In one word, devastated. I was at work at the time, and I remember I was on break, and I got the email, and I actually left work early that day because I was actually very upset. And I'm like, oh my God, this was a dream show. We had all worked so hard. We were just so close to putting this on. And then hearing the rest and then starting to get the follow-up emails, it's not over. It's not over. The show is going to continue. And that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited that one day we are all going to get this opportunity to finally show the people of London and beyond what we're made of and all the hard work we have. I also have somebody I'd like to introduce. But I mean, do we need another brother, or are we okay?
Maybe.
So, everybody, this
Some
is
of our
Everett. Everett, this is everybody. So you a little cranky? That's okay. We like
some of our children's cast members are getting a little big now, so maybe Everett can take over some of those children's spots, and we can graduate some of the children up a bit.
You know all your colors, right?
What is one thing that you really took from the story that has really kept your spirits alive in this past year?
I guess staying together and always being kind.
So the one thing that I really like in the story was just the difference between Close Every Door and the ending of the show, and how Joseph came from that very low point in his life and in his journey to getting back up there, to helping Pharaoh, to doing all that other stuff and getting his coat back, which I thought was a very symbolic little part of the show.
Mine's sort of the same. It's the difference between Close Every Door and a bunch of the other songs, how it can really change dramatically. The mood of the show can change with the whole cast working together. It's not just one person. The whole cast is working together to make this piece emotional, and so that you can really experience what we're experiencing.
The one thing that I'm kind of I don't know, the one thing that kind of stuck after the show was Postponed was that I was the camel. And it started as because in the scene where Joseph is sold and then taken to Egypt, he's in the movie and other productions there's a camel, and we were how are we gonna do the camel? And I was Dodd, I would like to be the camel. And it started as a super lighthearted joke, and he was haha, Julia, very funny, whatever. And then it kind of escalated, and I was no, I'd like to be the camel. And then in rehearsal I started walking like a camel, and he was you know what, we'll make it happen. And then it became the scene for half a scene I was this camel, and then now still when people's Facebook memories pop up of their birthdays or something, I'll say that happy birthday from your favorite camel or whatever. It just kind of became the joke that I was the cast camel. And that's just kind of something that stuck, and it was really fun.
So there's definitely a sense of togetherness, and I think that still holds up. There is still a sense of togetherness, and that is what I'm most looking forward to. Like I mentioned in my last question, is being together again and just really getting back with family.
What has kept me going is just theater people in general, from my past shows and this show. It's just the connection that we all have. Like we're always there for each other, and we always support each other, and we have each other on all social media. So it's just like to see them, like my theater friends, living their life and just being hopeful. It gives me hope, and it makes me even more excited to reconnect with them after this long time. Be like, so what did you get up to, and all that jazz.
The one thing that really kept me going was a bond that we all had as as a group, and it kept me really determined during the lockdown, because I was like, I really need to get back and be able to do this. So I'm going to keep my head up and keep looking forward to that moment when we all come back and we're all excited to see each other again.
The one thing that kind of kept me going, like you had mentioned, Andrew, was all the growth. When I auditioned for Joseph, I was 15, and now I'm 17, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it feels like a lot. And I feel like there's just been a lot of personal growth for everyone individually while we've been apart. So I'm excited to catch up with everyone's personal lives and see how much everyone's grown so big and grown up, and we're all growing up, and it's just been a time of growth, and I think that's been really exciting.
The thing that kind of has kept me going is actually the thought about Joseph's journey in the show, is that life doesn't always work out the way you want it to in the beginning. Like, you always have some tough times. There's a lot of tough things that happen, but if you have that hope and you try your best and you keep looking forward, that then there's that possibility for growth, for acceptance, for positivity, for happiness to come from that deep sadness, from that deep disappointment.
The story of Joseph is actually really close emotionally to what we've all been feeling this last year. When I think about kind of the end of Act 1 and into Act 2, where Joseph is in prison and just feeling so much despair, I think we've all felt that this year. And we've had to learn how to adjust as Joseph did. So he found all these new skills that he had, and he found all of these new friends and people that he was able to lean on. And I hope that everyone's been able to do that too.
There are phenomenal one-act plays, but a lot of times theater is based on 2 acts. And that's kind of really been the nature of this experience for us and of the world. We're not at Act 2 yet. We're kind of at that cliffhanger of a really, really devastating moment of our world's history. But sometimes you really do go through the really hard things that are not what you initially planned. Like, Joseph didn't anticipate his life to turn really difficult and to close every door. But, right after that is followed a euphoric song of Go, 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 Joseph. And we never anticipated that things would get this hard for our entire group. But here we are, and our world is in a really, really, really dark place right now. But we're still here, a lot of us. I know we've gone through a lot of tough times, and too many lives have been touched by the terrible pandemic. But humanity keeps going, and we are all keeping going, and Act 2 is around the corner, and I can't wait for it.
I never really, until we started the show, I hadn't really grasped onto the significance of the show. And I really liked how Andrew, our director, explained it, and how the casting of George, who is Black, and how there was this idea of representation, and how the coat of many colors is all these different colors, which kind of sounds cliche, all the colors of the rainbow. But if you're gonna do a show where a guy wears a rainbow coat, then you know what, we might as well have a theme of inclusivity. And so I appreciated that angle of it.
The one thing that one of the messages, because there's so many messages in this show, to pick one is difficult, but if I had to pick one, it would be hope. that no matter how bleak things may seem, there is always light at the end of that tunnel. And it is such an important theme, especially right now.
It's so much about hope and it really symbolizes the hope that we've needed nowadays. Like, especially since theater is so important in some people's lives, knowing that we'll be able to go back and reopen with Joseph makes me really happy. And I think it's going to be the perfect fit.
For me, the thing that's really resonated is a lot less about the story of Joseph itself, but all of us together. It's the sense of how we lost a sense of community connection for a little bit of human history right now. And as much as Joseph found strength individually and kept going, and we each have the power to really, through this pandemic, really be strong as individuals, seeing you all together again tonight really means so much. So even though we can't be physically together, I know that's going to happen. And I think that's what makes human life so special, is that we have connection.
When I think back to the rehearsal process and the audition process, in one way it definitely feels like a past life, but in another way it feels like it was kind of just yesterday, you know, because everything that happened after that was such a whirlwind. And there have been several times throughout this pandemic that I found myself throwing on some Joseph if I wanted a little dose of nostalgia, you know. And I think that speaks to the power of music more generally. Music is one of those few constants in our lives through good times and through not so good times. Case in point, this past year, right? And the only thing that's better than listening to music is making it, singing it, playing it. And that's something that I look forward to doing with you guys again, hopefully sooner rather than later.
And the one thing that I'm really looking forward to is that time that we get to reunite, like when Joseph reunited with his brothers and his father. I think I'm just so crazy excited for that.
Well, I mean, obviously everybody's sad that we had to postpone, but the fact that the team has been very much adamant on we are putting the show, the people who are involved, always, you know, doing all the meetings and the virtual karaoke's. So it's great to see that. Seeing it is very uplifting, and it brings a bit of hope of us being able to do it, even though it has been over a year, that we're still going to be able to put on such an amazing show.
I feel so lucky to have worked with the cast that we did work with back in 2020. That group of people was just incredible. Like, I felt so lucky every day to be able to work with those people. If you could only hear the sound that they made, like, our cast was just fantastic. So it's kind of special in a way that some of those moments will always just be between the cast and the creative team, and we'll have that forever. It's obviously not fun that it'll never get shared exactly the way that it was, but it is special that we get to hold on to those moments and those memories together. And what we do present in the future, however different it may be, will be something else and something special all on its own.
How has being a part of community theater influenced your life? And what have you missed the most about community theater?
Well, I'm into my third decade of life, and I have been doing community theater since I was 15. And Joseph was of course, my 13th show. And how funny that turns out to be, isn't it? So community theater has been an integral part of my life. I met my wife doing community theater. Some of you may know her. Most of you probably do. I know her as Charlene Hardcastle, and now she's Terry. So that's my fault. I met her doing a production of It's a Wonderful Life at Theater Woodstock. And very shortly after that show closed, we started dating, and well, we got married in 2018. But yeah, community theater, obviously, for myself, has been an integral part of my life. And I really don't know where I would be without it. It's been an amazing outlet for me. I have met the most incredible people.
I really like community theater. I've been in Light since grade 1. Community theater has kind of always been like something that I love doing from like the bottom of my heart. Being part of community theater is like you're part of a family, and sure, it might be a huge extended family that you have no idea who some of the people are, but still, it's a family and we're all together, and it feels so nice to be part of that big family.
It's a family, and you don't really know the people, and getting to know them is probably the highlight of, besides the show, obviously, is probably the highlight of the whole experience.
So ever since I was younger, I'm obviously like I'm Latina and I'm mixed race, and I used to go to a really predominantly white school, and I would get bullied a lot for how I looked and like how I spoke and if I spoke Spanish. And community theater and like original kids and things were like the one place where I had friends and I was like happy.
So I love working in community theater, and that one crazy tingling sensation when the audience doors close for the first time on opening night. And there's that moment right between when that happens and when the show starts, where we know that everybody's as prepared as they're going to ever be for opening night in that exact moment. And it's just this tingling sensation I get right before I say that first go. That is what drives me, what brings me back over and over and over again.
How did you come to be involved with MTP before Joseph?
Joseph was my very first MTP experience right from the audition. And I had no idea that it would be such a family to be a part of.
If I would have like known back like how much of a family MTP was, I would have done many shows.
My first show was Night of Noir. It was a cabaret. Yeah, I just wanted, like, I had got the theater bug in high school on like grade 13, and then the next year I auditioned for a show at King's, and then just kept that up, just kind of moving up. And MTP has been a very comfortable, like, like it's community theater, but still professional in just how dedicated we are to just doing the best we can. So it's always such a joy to not just to see the show grow, but to see all of us like coalesce as people. And then once the show ends, then we all get torn apart again. So we have to come back for the next show. We have to keep coming back in order to feel like a family. Yeah.
So maybe this is the longest togetherness of a cast that's kind of ever happened. So what is something that you would say to audiences that have been waiting? And then the final question, and you can weave them together however you want, is what would you say to all of the cast and crew who've been waiting along with you?
To the audience, I would say we had a great show a year ago, and when we come back, it's going to be an amazing show. And to you guys in the team, thank you guys for not quitting and keeping the dream alive.
One thing I would say to the audience would be it's worth the wait. It's a truly magical piece, and it will definitely be worth the wait. And for the cast, I would say, thank you for like being here, staying strong throughout all this,
For the cast, God, thank you for all just being here, despite like how long it's been. Like it's been like a year since like it got postponed. We're still all here. We're here. We're like ready to just, as soon as like that opportunity comes, to just get back out there and get back together and get back to rehearsing and to perform. We'll jump at the chance.
One thing that I would say to the audience, because I myself have really been itching to see a live show, is just when you experience the beauty and magic that Joseph is, just relish in it. Soak up and saturate yourself with the story and the beautiful moments within it. And to the cast and crew, I love you dearly with my whole heart, and I can't wait to finally be together again and uplift each other artistically and personally.
One message I would give to the audience is just wait, because we're going to come back and we're going to do great and it's going to be the best show. And one thing I would say to the cast is just keep pulling through and we'll be all together again.
Thank you for making our MTP family still grow. I would just genuinely want to say thank you from the very bottom of my heart.
Well, I'm really excited to see everyone in person at some point. And it was really lovely, like working with you guys and getting to work with you guys again, hopefully.
To the audiences, I would say, kind of on a similar note to Leyla, like when you get there and you're sitting in your chair, like just soak it up. I know I'll be soaking up the first live show I can see, the first live show I can be in, because I don't think we all realized how much of an impact it had. And that moment of the curtain going up, or, you know, those moments that impact you greatly when you're watching live theater. It's been so long. It's going to be a new first theater experience. And I know for a lot of us, Joseph was our first show. It was the first show I saw live as well, like a few other people mentioned. And this will be the first show back for some people. And I think that's just really nifty. And then to the cast and crew, write down your stories. Because my favorite part of rehearsal is like sitting on the carpet and we all just tell our stories from our day or from our lives. Write down all your stories, the whole cast and crew. I want to hear all about it. And we got some time to make up.
To the audience, first of all, thank you for waiting already. Like, so for as long as you have waited, it's nobody could have expected this. I know we certainly didn't. So thank you for waiting as long as you have. Just wait a little bit more. It's going to be very special, and it really reminds us of how important theater is. And to the cast and crew, also thank you for waiting. I should say that, like, thank you everyone for being here, for waiting, and, you know, anticipating it as much as I am. Things come to those who wait, right?
I think it's going to be so overly euphoric, of the sense of seeing all of you in one room together and just singing together and hearing that voice again. And I know that, of course, there'll be some adjustments of who's part of the team and who's not part of the team, but everyone who has been a part of the team will forever be a part of the journey that brought us to opening day and closing day when we get there again. And it's just a really, I think this is going to be one of the most unique theater experiences that will ever have been, of a show that was put on pause but kept going. It's something very special, and I'm really glad that we're all a part of it together. I think back to one of my favorite moments of when we first were swaying together, watching the kids with Any Dream Will Do at the very, very beginning, where it's just Joseph with only the kids. And just that sense of tingling that I got watching that magic happen. And we'll have that magic happen with a cast and crew together with an audience eventually. And I can't wait for the audience to experience that with us.
If I were to say one thing to our ticket holders and the audience who we're going to see the show, hold on just a little bit longer. We're almost there. We are almost there, and it's going to be worth it. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this on record. This is going to be the best production of Joseph you have ever seen. You will never see a better production of Joseph, and it's going to be great. My message to the cast: God, I miss you. I miss all of you, and I'm getting emotional just saying that to you and seeing all of your faces. Thank you, everybody that's here. I can't wait to see you all in person and just give you all just the biggest hug.
Stay hopeful, and take the time. I mean, you've probably already done it for the last year, but take this pause to reflect. Take this time to slow down and enjoy the stop and smell the roses, as they say. If there's anything that's been lingering in the back of your mind that you've wanted to do, even though the rest of the world's kind of stopped right now, now's a great time to do some of that stuff. There's anything you wanted to learn or think about, do it now. I think there's a silver lining in all of this, in that we all had the gift of a little bit more time, and that does not need to be time that's been robbed. That's time that we can use in a fulfilling and meaningful manner. If you've wanted to help people, volunteer. I found a few volunteer opportunities in the last year that have been really satisfying work, and so it's still possible. It's still possible to get out and do that stuff. Take the time to do it right now. There's virtual shows you can be a part of. Oh no, another shameless plug. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, we can look forward to the light at the end of the tunnel, but also it's a journey. It's not a destination. So make the most of the time that you're given right now.
I have never felt discouraged enough to say that the show is over. Like I guess I'm just like, it's weird because at times I feel very pessimistic about just things in general, but like with this show, I feel naive enough to just say it's going to happen. I think and I feel like that's something that I can still hold on to, is this just, we're going to be able to do this again, like the show hasn't gone anywhere. We're all still here. And even if some people, their schedules don't work, I think there's still enough faith in the show where we will be willing to keep it going. And I think it's only gonna be more of a joy to put it on once COVID is over.
And I feel that it's not just dusting it off or saying finally, or a relief we did this, but that it'll be a really euphoric moment, that after we've gone through so much over this period with the pandemic, that here you go, audience. This is something that we've poured our hearts into, and it means so much, even more to the world now that we are going to finally put it together at that time.
I'm really excited to one day get back in the rehearsal hall and be working on choreography with our same cast, new cast members, whoever it may be, and I'm sure whatever we put on stage will be fantastic. So we'll see you soon.
I think of all of you often, I really do. I miss you, and I really look forward to the time we can get together and make music again soon, okay? So be well. Love you very much.
We have not closed every door. I'm sure all you guys are thinking of saying something like that, so I'm going to be the one to say it.
But I really do wish the best to everybody, and I hope to see you again real soon. We have been promised a land of our own. Take care.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. It was really great to see so many of the cast and crew members come together to reflect on the show, to remind our audiences that we still have hope that this will come together. It may be different than we originally planned, but I think it's probably going to be even better than what it was going to be before. And I look forward to seeing it come together. And last, I want to say a huge thank you to Andrew for putting all of this together and for hosting tonight's event. We couldn't have done it without you. We're so happy to have you involved. And we hope that you will keep staying tuned for events with MTP. Follow us on our social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at MTP London. Subscribe here to our YouTube page, and be sure to watch for future episodes of MTP Reunited. Thank you all and have a great night.